Have you ever wondered how the world stumbled into its deadliest conflict? How did we go from the war to end all wars to an even bigger one just 2 decades later? It wasn't one single event, but a cascade of failures, ambitions, and ideologies that set the stage for World War II. Let's rewind the clock and untangle this complex web of history. Our story begins not in 1939, but in 1919, at the end of World War I. The victorious powers gathered in Paris to sign the Treaty of Versailles. This treaty was meant to ensure peace, but for many, especially Germany, it felt like a punishment. Germany was forced to accept full blame for the war, pay crippling reparations, give up vast territories, and drastically reduce its military. Imagine being told your country is solely responsible for a global disaster and then being handed a bill so large it would cripple your economy for generations. This created a deep sense of national humiliation and resentment among the German people, a fertile ground for extremist ideas to grow. While Germany simmered, the 1920s roared on, but the party came to a crashing halt in 1929 with the Wall Street crash. This wasn't just an American problem, it triggered the Great Depression, a worldwide economic catastrophe. Banks failed, businesses closed, and millions lost their jobs. In times of such desperation, people often look for strong leaders who promise simple solutions. In Germany, this desperation fueled the rise of Adolf Hitler and his Nazi party. He promised to restore Germany's national pride, rebuild the economy, and tear up the hated Treaty of Versailles. His message resonated with a public hungry for hope and a scapegoat. By 1933, Hitler was Chancellor of Germany, and the path to war became much clearer. It wasn't just Germany and Italy. Benito Mussolini and his fascist regime dreamed of restoring the glory of the Roman Empire, invading Ethiopia in 1935. In Japan, a powerful military faction was gaining control of the government, believing they were destined to rule Asia. They invaded Manchuria in 1931, a resource-rich region of China. The League of Nations, the international organization created after World War I to prevent such aggression, proved powerless. They condemned Japan's actions, but had no army to enforce their decision. Japan simply walked out of the League. This sent a dangerous message to other aggressive nations. International law was optional. Back in Europe, Hitler began to test the waters. In 1935, he openly announced Germany was rearming, a direct violation of the Treaty of Versailles. The world watched, but did little. Then, in 1936, he marched German troops into the Rhineland, a demilitarized zone bordering France. Again, the response was muted. Britain and France, haunted by the memory of World War I and dealing with their own economic problems, adopted a policy of appeasement. They believed that if they gave Hitler what he reasonably wanted, he would be satisfied and war could be avoided. They hoped to pacify the beast by feeding it. This policy was put to the ultimate test in 1938. Hitler demanded the Sudetenland, a German-speaking region of Czechoslovakia. At the Munich conference, British Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain and French Premier Édouard Daladier met with Hitler and Mussolini. They agreed to Hitler's demands, sacrificing Czechoslovakia in the name of peace for a time. Chamberlain returned to Britain a hero, but he had fundamentally misjudged Hitler's ambitions. Hitler didn't just want to unite German-speaking peoples, he wanted domination. He saw appeasement not as a gesture of peace, but as a sign of weakness. Just months later, in March 1939, Hitler broke his promise and invaded the rest of Czechoslovakia. The illusion of appeasement was shattered. Britain and France finally realized that Hitler could not be trusted and that his ambitions were limitless. They pledged to defend Poland, which was clearly Hitler's next target. But there was another crucial piece to this puzzle: the Soviet Union. Throughout the 1930s, the Soviets had been wary of Nazi Germany, but they were also deeply distrustful of Britain and France. Fearing being drawn into a war where the Western powers would leave them to fight Germany alone, Joseph Stalin chose a different path. In a move that shocked the world, Germany and the Soviet Union signed the Nazi-Soviet Non-Aggression Pact in August 1939. Publicly, they pledged not to attack each other. Secretly, They agreed to carve up Poland and other parts of Eastern Europe between them. This pact was a green light for Hitler. It removed the threat of a two-front war, freeing him to focus his military might on Poland without fear of Soviet intervention. The final act was set on September 1, 1939. German forces invaded Poland. The world held its breath. This time, there would be no appeasement. 2 days later, on September 3rd, Britain and France, honoring their promise, declared war on Germany. The Second World War had begun. So, what led to this global catastrophe? It was a perfect storm. The lingering bitterness of the Treaty of Versailles, the economic desperation of the Great Depression, the rise of aggressive, expansionist ideologies in Germany, Italy, and Japan, and the catastrophic failure of international diplomacy and the policy of appeasement. It serves as a powerful reminder that peace is fragile and must be actively defended, not just wished for. The road to war is often paved with good intentions that ignore harsh reality. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey through one of history's most pivotal moments. If you found this video insightful, please hit that like button and consider subscribing to the channel for more deep dives into the events that shaped our world. Let me know in the comments what other historical topics you'd like to explore. Until next time, stay curious.